All right. I think that's probably the best performance we've seen in this tournament. Fair to say?
Yeah.
Against the worst team.
Well, okay, so that's the question. Is this more about good Uruguay or bad Bolivia?
Both.
Which one is it more?
I think we saw pieces of both. I think the first probably 20 minutes of that match, we saw a really good Uruguay that said, okay, we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
We've got that start. And then they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. And then I think by the end, you then saw a bad Bolivia pay the price when the subs came on and wanted to make a name for themselves.
They did this to Panama. They've done this to Brazil in World Cup qualifying. They did it to Argentina in Argentina. There is no better team in that run-and-gun style, how fast they could be in transition, than Uruguay. In Marcelo Bielsa's system, that high press, and we put you under pressure, and we're so fast and lethal through the wings. I mean, if it's not Maxi Araujo, who has been absolutely brilliant in Liga MX for Toluca, it's Darwin Nunez. And Darwin Nunez is going to get 5 or 6 chances. How many is he going to put away? But if he puts that one away, you're good. And then it's Pelistri, who's been absolutely phenomenal. This team is very difficult, and it's not only offensively. They've got a lot of bite to their game in the most Uruguayan type of way. This is a very good team. Wow, you're very right about Bolivia.
Yeah.
This is what we've been seeing from this Uruguay team.
What do you like about Uruguay?
I love their attacking mentality. I love the way that they want to high press everywhere around the field. I love that they high press as a team, and it's not just individually. So you're always going to see them high pressing in packs. And that's something that, will carry a team really far, because they all look like they're on the same page. They have the same goal in mind. And then once they win the ball, regain the ball, then they immediately go forward in numbers. And that's just really attractive football to watch.
I think in the opener against Panama, we talked about maybe we might have seen some weaknesses from Uruguay. Did you see any of that this evening?
Yeah, but Bolivia wasn't able to capitalize.
Correct.
And I'm talking about Matias Oliveira, and I'm talking about Ronald Araujo. These are two center backs that they're so aggressive. You see them 3/4 of the field, and everybody is pushing, everybody's attacking, and they're by themselves. And if you can bypass that press, there is room for teams who are fast, who have speed in transition, to take advantage. Listen, no center back in the world, I don't care how good you are, wants to be left 1v1 in transition.
From midfield?
From midfield against forwards. That's not what they want to do. That's not what they would prefer to do. But Marcelo Bielsa is so aggressive in the way he tries to press you that if you bypass, whether it's up top or through the midfield, you could have Route 1 traffic and it can go your way. But you need to have the speed. You need to have the speed to make them pay. Panama, at times, threatened, but never really made them pay enough. And Bolivia certainly never made them pay.
There was a couple times at the beginning of the second half where you could tell Uruguay were so comfortable. Then they gave a couple balls away, but Bolivia, like you mentioned, didn't have the pace to punish them.
No.
Then they cleaned it up, and then we saw what Uruguay was capable of doing.
Absolutely. 5-0 victors over Bolivia. Absolutely beautiful performance from a team that may, when it's all said and done, be the last standing here at Copa America 2024. At the moment, they are first in Group C. How about that +7 goal difference? United States second, Panama third, Bolivia fourth. We know only 2 advance. Basically, what it boils down to is the U.S. has to get a better result than Panama on the last day of group play. The only problem, United States is playing Uruguay, who may well be resting some players given their position, and Panama is playing Bolivia. What do you think? Is Greg Berhalter managing for his job in that game?
Yes, absolutely. I thought Greg Berhalter was managing for his job after he squeaked out a win versus Jamaica in the last minute of that game to go into overtime. I certainly thought that was the time to reevaluate Greg Berhalter, but we know that's not going to happen. We know realistically that's not going to be the case. It was so much easier to move on from Greg Berhalter post-World Cup after everything had happened with Giovanni Reyna, after everything had happened, with the investigation, with the allegations. It was so much easier to move on, and yet they didn't. And the fact that they didn't move on and extended Greg Berhalter, and we are here, leads me to believe that regardless of what happens, if you get grouped or not, Greg Berhalter will still be here. Right now, no. I don't think it'll happen. Should it happen? Should he be evaluated? Absolutely. You're in a group with Bolivia. You're in a group with Panama, which you are, on paper, a better team than. You've got better players than them, more resources than them. There should be no reason for you to get grouped in this fashion. If you're coming to the last game after getting bossed and bullied by Uruguay, I would understand. But you're heading to the game versus Uruguay after getting bossed and bullied by Panama.
How big a failure would it be, Kasey? And would it be the time to look for a new coach with what we know is a massive World Cup coming to this country in 2 years?
Well, I think it's clearly the way that this tournament, let's say, has been kind of told to everybody that this is kind of preparation. This is, we're going to have the strongest opposition in a tournament format leading up to the World Cup. It's also on home soil. They were trying to mimic aspects of it. Of course, you're not going to be like for like, but it's going to be as close as they're going to get. And they wanted to see kind of what the reaction of this team was. And I keep hearing all these golden generation, this, that, and the other thing. Well, you're only golden if you actually get the results that manifest into gold. Right now, it's just you've got a lot of good young players trying to do something and failing here. To me, failure isn't necessarily about results. To me, failure is also, if kind of what Herc alluded to. If you had these great games and lost to a great team and you played really well and you did these things.
But we're talking about a group phase elimination at home in a group with Panama and Bolivia.
Yes.
AC.
So I think the one issue that we have to accept is budgetary constraints from U.S. Soccer, because names that are linked from fans of the Zidanes and, the big names of football management.
Those guys are running you 15, 20 million a year. Greg Berhalter's on 2.2 million, if you want an idea. That's the differences, yeah.
And so there's those constraints. And there's also the issue of timing. There's nothing happening for U.S. Soccer that matters after this tournament for a stretch of time. So you're basically taking this job to then sit on your hands and watch players at their clubs.
You don't think it's that attractive a job?
I think it's attractive.
The U.S. job to host a World Cup?
I think it's a very attractive job to have in December 2025 or January 2026. And then I think it's super attractive for anybody. And then you're not paying somebody a whole bunch of money for a period of time where they're watching players play for their clubs.